In this article, I will describe ancient Japan, going all the way back in time. It is the Jomon period. The Jomon period is a very long historical period. It is believed to have lasted from approximately 14,000 years ago until the 10th century BC. In terms of world history, it corresponds to the late Paleolithic to Neolithic periods. The Neolithic period is considered in world history to be the period when polished stone tools were invented and agriculture began. However, agricultural culture did not begin in Japan until the beginning of the Ai period, which began in the 10th century BC. The Jomon period was a hunter-gatherer economy, and the reason it lasted longer than the rest of the world was because of its extremely favorable natural environment. In the rest of the world, a hunter-gatherer economy required constant migration. This was because there was too little prey and nuts to settle down. The abundance of nature in Japan would be the basis for a unique civilization not seen anywhere else in the world. Let's talk about a site that is representative of the Jomon period in Japan. These are the Sanai Maruyama ruins, which existed in Aomori Prefecture in northern Japan. Let's take a look at what this site reveals about the life of the Japanese people of that time. This site is a large settlement that is thought to have existed from about 5,900 to 4,200 years ago. Pottery and settlements that characterize each period of the Jomon period have been found, indicating that this settlement existed continuously. This settlement covered an area of approximately 42 hectares. It is the largest Jomon period settlement discovered today. There are 650 pit dwellings, and it is thought that up to 500 people lived here at the same time. A large structure in the center of the village was also found. The remains of this structure are those of a large pillar. Along with that, it is noteworthy that the spacing, width, and depth of the pillar holes are all consistent at 4.2 meters, 2 meters, and 2 meters, respectively. This indicates that surveying technology already existed at that time, and that the people who lived here were highly skilled for their time. In particular, 4.2 meters is a multiple of 35 centimeters, and units of 35 centimeters have been confirmed at other sites. Therefore, it is possible that a unit of length, which could be called the Jomon shaku, was shared as a common standard over a wide area. The pillars themselves were also subjected to a technique of scorching the surrounding area to prevent corrosion. This is one of the reasons why the pillars have been protected from corrosion for so long. The pillars are made of chestnut wood. The pillars were erected tilted inward about 2 degrees. A Japanese archaeological and engineering team has reconstructed what was made at the time. Although there are many objections to this reconstruction, they speculate that it was probably used for rituals. At the Sanai Maruyama site, a number of large pit buildings, some more than 10 meters wide, have been excavated. The largest of these, 32 meters long and 10 meters wide, is also currently being restored. These huge structures are thought to have been used in a variety of ways, including as communal workplaces, meeting places, and large-scale housing. The construction of such large structures would have required a large labor force. It can be inferred that the residents of the village were united and had leaders who could guide them properly. Next, let's look at what people's lives were like at that time. Food residues excavated from a low marshland dump site revealed the contents of the food used by the people who lived in the settlement. At the Sanai Maruyama site, many nuts, including chestnuts and walnuts, have been excavated, as well as large quantities of fish and animal bones. Animal bones include wild boar and deer, while smaller animals such as rabbits and owls are predominant in the later strata. Among fish, snapper, yellowtail, mackerel, flatfish, herring, and sharks were common, and pufferfish was also eaten. Pufferfish, of course, has a poison that can kill if eaten, and cooking methods to detoxify the poison have existed since that time. It is also known that they also drank fruit wine made from raspberries and other fruits. Analysis of pollen detected in the soil revealed large amounts of chestnut pollen. Based on the quantitative ratio, It is estimated that a pure forest of chestnut trees had spread around the village. The chestnut is a yang tree that prefers a sunny environment and will not grow into a pure forest unless people help it grow by cutting the undergrowth. It is clear that the Jomon people lived a highly sustainable lifestyle by modifying the forests surrounding their settlements to create an environment where useful plants could grow easily. There is something very distinctive about the Jomon period in Japan. It was a life without conflict. Examination of human remains from the Jomon period has revealed very few bones that have been damaged by weapons or other means. One study found that only 1.3% of human remains from the Jomon period were thought to have died in a fight. This figure is significantly lower than the percentage of human remains from the same period in the world and the later Yei period, suggesting that they led an extremely peaceful life. The Jomon people lived in an environment of abundant nature, where there was basically no need to save money, and it was difficult to create a gap between the rich and the poor. It is conceivable that the large structures mentioned earlier had leaders who had some power, but they would not have been like the Egyptian kings who built the pyramids. It is conceivable that during the same period in the world when people supported their lives by hunting, there were battles over scarce prey. Many human bones have been unearthed that are thought to have been wounded by swords and bows, so much so that some scholars believe that the essence of man is to fight. I believe that the Jomon people, blessed with nature and free from wealth and strife, are the ideal form of human beings. Their peaceful life can be seen in their graves. Until the discovery of the Sanai Maruyama site, it was believed that when people died out, they would be thrown away in faraway places. However, at this site, a cemetery-like area existed near where they lived. It was a place of careful burial and contained their ornaments. Clearly, they had a culture of showing the deceased, and there were traces of offerings made at their graves. We know that children who died at an early age were kept in earthenware vessels that they normally used and were found in their residences. It shows a desire to keep a child who died at an early age close at hand. Although not at the Sanai Maruyama site, human bones with emaciated limbs, about 20 years old, have also been found. This would mean that a child with a physical illness lived in care until the age of 20. How difficult it must have been to raise a child who was so ill that he needed care at this time. Some of the artifacts from this site include obsidian and jade. These items have been found to have originated in Nagano and Hokkaido, Japan. They are very far from the Sanai Maruyama site. This indicates that there was a network of exchange in Japan at that time. It also suggests that the people of these remote areas did not fight with each other but got along well with each other. Thus, the Sanai Maruyama site ruins were a settlement that had continued continuously for about 1,700 years. The dumping ground they built was filled with soil, and the height of the dumping ground was over 2 meters. This is a trace that indicates the age of their residents. Such a long history of settlements is coming to an end. It is the world's climate change. The temperature, which was considered to be about 2 degrees higher than the current climate, dropped and a cold period arrived. Aomori Prefecture, where the Sanai Maruyama site is located, is in the northern part of Japan and is a cold region with snowfall in winter. It is believed that this temperature change caused a drastic decrease in the amount of nuts and other resources that supported the life of the community. And the lifestyle of the Jomon people, which was based on hunting and gathering, was no longer viable. The Jomon people therefore began to farm. This agricultural lifestyle transformed the lives of the Jomon people, creating a disparity between rich and poor and the emergence of those with power. Thus ended the Jomon period, which lasted more than 10,000 years, and began the Yei period, which focused on agriculture. In this article, I explained the Jomon period in ancient Japan. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe to our channel and click the like button.